All right, we are live. Me and Andrew are having a good time back over here. Shoot, we might have a conversation without y'all tonight, the way we're rolling over here. Glad to see you guys here on Amazon Live and on the YouTube channels. If you're brand new here, my name is Monty Weaver. Welcome to our weekly Monday live show where we talk tech, we talk video, we talk live streaming. I've had a ball doing these live shows and talking to awesome people, and tonight is no different. Me and Andrew literally were just making this comment, like we feel like we know each other already and we've never met in person yet. That's just like the power of video. Is I've seen this guy on YouTube before. Like I've seen his videos, the tutorials. I've heard him speak before. Like I feel like I know the guy because of video. And he said he was watching some of my videos, and every time somebody says they've watched some of my videos, I'm kind of taken back a little bit. I'm like, man, he's one of my subscribers. Like those 20,000 subscribers I got, he's one of those guys, and he actually watches my videos. That's pretty cool. Let me see who we got here in the chat tonight. What's going on, Steve? Steve, I'm going to pick up where we left off last week. Last week, you guys, if you did not come and watch the episode with Steve Worthy, you have to go and watch that episode. We were talking podcasting. Steve actually has me still in my podcast mode. Shout out to Sure for sending over these Ionic 50s, and I'm still rocking like the podcast look because he then got me converted to become a podcaster. So definitely go check out that episode. Good to see you, Steve, here in the chat. Who's that? Chantel, good to see you. Ahmed, good to see you. Michael Fair, good to see you. Michael said at the beginning, hey, I need to go jump over to Amazon Live and watch this. So if you guys are here on YouTube and you want to see the products that we're going to talk about tonight specifically, because we are going to talk budget tech, I put the link over or in the YouTube chat so you guys can watch on Amazon if you so choose to do so. Who else we got over here? I know I got some people that are going to be jumping in a little bit late. They better show up on time before we get to the tech and geek out. All right, let me get to this ad spot real quick, you guys. Shout out to our sponsor, Blueprint Influencers. This is a community that I have put together for brand deals and sponsorships. So if you're into learning how the heck does Monty keep getting all this gear, well, some gear I just get from sponsors because they are like loving what I'm doing over here, talking about what I do. So it's video, it's live streaming, and so my goal is to show other content creators how they can tap into the creator economy, get sponsors for their live stream, get sponsors for their podcast, get sponsors for showing up on social media, Instagram, all that stuff that we're already doing. So if you want to know what that looks like, how to tap into it, Blueprint Influencers is where you can do that. All right, let me see here. Don't forget. Yes, thank you, Keith. Keith says, don't forget to smash that like button. So if you're here, smash the like button. Let's get it out to more people. I promise you, we're in for a good episode. Like, I literally lost track of the time before I went live here, messing with Andrew in the back here. We call it our green room here on live streaming, right? Michael says, not easy to cast the Amazon Live to the TV. You know, Amazon Live has the Fire Stick, but yet the Fire Stick and Amazon, I won't even get into why that's not working. But Amazon, go ahead and fix that for us. All right, let me get to my guest here. I don't even know how to introduce this guy. I'm going to call him the YouTube guy that I've known for like a whole bunch of years because I've seen him on YouTube. I'm going to call you my friend already because we do know each other somewhat. What's going on, Andrew? How are you? Sounding all good over there, better than my microphone tonight.
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. I don't know if I sound better than you, but in my head, I've been listening to you for so long, and I think I would also call you a friend, even though we are getting to know each other more and more as we speak.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to be live here with you and just talk about some affordable filmmaking stuff, you know?
Yeah, man, I appreciate you for being here. We've got some mutual friends. And so, matter of fact, my guy, Rob Alsabas, he said, you got to meet Andrew. Like, I got to connect you guys. And I'm like, yes, because I don't know if anybody that's on YouTube, it feels like when you meet someone else on YouTube, they're like a little celebrity in your head already. I was talking to a buddy of mine earlier today, and he said he went out to social media marketing world and he met someone that he's talked to virtually, but he was like, in awe of seeing the person in real life, and that's kind of how I feel right now. So it's like Andrew, the celebrity, is here from YouTube. So I appreciate you for being here, man. I always let the guests introduce themselves because what I love is the fact I get to talk to other content creators. So you guys, I put Andrew's links in the chat, so make sure you check those out. But Andrew, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, who you are, what you do, and let's have some fun tonight, man.
Sure. So, first off, thank you so much once again for letting me just be here. So, I am Andrew Can. That is Can with a K. Something I say on my channel is if I can, you can too, because I think that a lot of times there's a lot of mysticism behind what we do in video and content creation. But in reality is, and the beauty of it is anyone can do this. So that led me to work with tools such as TubeBuddy, where some of you may know me for. I was the head of video there and grew that channel from 6,000 to 525,000 before I left. In that time since leaving, I still work in YouTube and create content to this day. I really love video in all forms, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Amazon. I know there's some of you watching there. So I'm just really excited to be talking with you today, Monty, about affordable filmmaking, because through it all, I was a film school student, and one of the things that I know is a huge barrier to entry, no matter where I've worked on YouTube, is gear and things like that. And if we can get past that, I think you can really get to the meat and potatoes of what YouTube really wants. And that's why I'm excited to be here with you tonight.
Yeah, I love the fact that you have some video experience. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that, so I'm going to learn as much as everybody else here in the audience. Um, what kind of got you into video, Andrew? Because like for me, I was that behind the scenes guy. So I grew up and went to church, and I didn't want to be in a stage play. I didn't want to do anything in front. But someone introduced me to the audio and the cameras, and I just fell in love with the behind the scenes of it and never wanted to get in front of the camera until eventually I did. But what got you into this whole video thing?
Sure. I mean, for me, I was a lot like you, where I liked the gear behind. I actually went to film school for directing, so I tend to be like, I can't wait to work with actors in front of the camera so I can geek out, gear out, just make it look great. But as you grow and you learn, I got an opportunity to work for YouTube NCN, and they wanted someone on camera for the community, which is the team I worked on. The team said, Andrew, you'd probably be the best out of our team. So, funnily enough, that's what kind of got me on camera. From there, the old CEO of TubeBuddy, Phil, shout outs to Phil Starkovich, recognized me from my time there. And he's like, I want video. And I'm like, oh, I can do video. He's like, yeah, I think you have a great voice. I think you're good at tutorials. I'm like, excellent. We're doing well. And he's like, I'm like, all right, I'll get you a tutorial. So I sent him this first video. He's like, well, you're not on camera. I'm like, what do you mean? So it all started with just him wanting me on camera. And at that time, I didn't plan to be on camera. And the first videos are still up, and you'll watch me be like this. And I think we all had that moment where it's like, oh, what are we doing?
Yeah. That is funny, man. So it's not like you were inspired to be on video either. You just was kind of that guy and just, yeah, I tell people, I kind of got pushed by my buddy. He was like, yeah, you got to teach people how to do this live streaming thing. So I was like, yeah, I could teach the technicals behind the scenes, but then I had to be on the camera to show them how to do it. And it was like, oh man, this is different. So man, I love
Yes.
that. You mentioned TubeBuddy, so that means you're very familiar with YouTube. And you have your own YouTube channel as a content creator. What led you to start, going from, okay, hey, we need someone to create these videos to now you creating your own videos on your own channel?
I think it goes back to my love of storytelling. And I think what I've learned with YouTube is no matter what genre or niche, as some people will say, you're in, is that everyone has such a unique perspective. And perspective is a huge word for me. And that's something that I try to find anywhere, right? And the beauty of working with a tool like TubeBuddy is I saw so many different kinds of YouTube channels. There are like techniques of filming I learned from beauty channels that I've actually helped tech channels learn, right? So I find myself being a forever student. And when you're a student of YouTube, you are someone who is watching different styles of filmmaking.
Yeah. Good to see David Kennedy here. Chris Stone is here. I know some other people that are definitely know who you are. And I love watching YouTube videos. I was talking in a Clubhouse room about watching other YouTubers because, like what you said, the different styles, and I've kind of learned how how I can kind of fit in, because I didn't know this YouTube thing was a real thing. I really was just like, I need to put my content in a better place. But I was always intimidated by the fact that there was all these professional YouTubers out there, and especially like the tech YouTubers, like their channels were just, I can't compete with that. But I was able to like show up and kind of like what you said, stumble through the first couple videos and get it up there. And it's been a pleasure to do so ever since. As you've worked with companies that help people with videos, specifically more so YouTube, what kind of advice would you give people that are struggling to get started, on the platform like we were?
My best piece of advice is that a lot of times people know they want to be on YouTube, but they don't know what to speak about. And I think that when you really find what you're passionate about and what you could speak about forever, that's when you find what works. And that's when you do the groundwork. I always say that you shouldn't build a house without a blueprint. So when you find what you like talking about, what you're passionate about, then I say start doing some research. Google things that you needed to know. Those are video ideas. Focus on practicing and re-recording. The beauty of video compared to a live stream is that you can do multiple takes. Like right now, if Monty and I have an issue, we got to figure it on the fly, which can be fun. But I think you and I both know we'd rather not.
Yeah.
So you have the ability to redo, reshoot, retake. And that's something that a lot of people get frustrated with. But reality, it's part of the journey, right? A lot of times I tell people when you get your first car, that's freedom. That's something you didn't have before. That's the same thing with filming. And yeah, one day we will get to a better car. Maybe Monty wants a Maserati. I don't know. It just rhymes with the alliteration. But right now we got to be cruising in our Honda Civic and enjoying the ride for what it is, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I going through like YouTube and like seeing it grow, and then like we were talking about, just feeling like the person before you even like meet them. And I found that that's been especially like as a lead magnet, like for anybody that's an entrepreneur or small business, I found it to be an incredible lead magnet, because people have like seen me before they actually had a transaction with me. I've literally, when 2020 and we had, what did you say earlier, economics, or like, what did you say, world, I forgot it
It's a
already.
global changes.
The global changes, before we had the global changes, I told Andrew I was taking that from him, and then I forgot what it was. The global changes, people were trying to figure out, how do I live stream, how do I do this, and the place they went to was YouTube. And I think that so many people can tap into that platform, because like you said, it's a place where people are like, how do I do this, or like looking for an answer to this. And if you know the answers to certain things in your industry, you can be that person that they find, and it creates these avenues for you of exposure. What have you seen for you as far as like exposure? Because like I said, I feel like I know you as a celebrity because I've seen you on like, how do I say this? Like a qualified channel like YouTube, like TubeBuddy is like a official type of channel. But I know it's probably helped you as well by showing up on these platforms in other ways. Can you talk about that?
Sure. I mean, I think it's also important to remember I started TubeBuddy before it was the TubeBuddy we knew today, right?
Mm,
And that one of my things I try to remind people of is that where you are now is not who you are going to be in the future. And I always say, like, LeBron James sweated 15 years in the gym before we ever saw his debut globally, right? So I think that the important thing to remember is for anyone like who wants to start or get where they're trying to go. And the beauty of being on established platforms is that you get to see them come up and you start realizing, oh, they have to do the same things I'm having to do. And it's a mindset change. If you put someone ahead of you mentally, they're always going to be ahead of you. But if you realize we're working together at the same speed, same time, it just matters if we get there, not how long it takes, then that changes how you approach filming, how you do things like that. And like you said earlier, like sometimes when I first went to these events, I was so nervous to meet people. I was like, oh my gosh, I've watched you for years. But it's in realizing that, hey, we're all in the same game, having fun, and that it doesn't matter how long we've been doing it. It just matters if we're still having fun and how we connect with one another. So
mhm.
that's one of the beauties of working at an established brand is you see that from another side.
Yeah, yeah. So what you're saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, you don't see much of a difference between like the company showing up on social media as any different than a content creator showing up on social media. We both have to do the same thing. Is that what I'm hearing?
100%.
Cool. As a content creator, since we're both in that space, and we've seen this migration of brands and companies reaching out to us, the people in our home studios. Like literally, I've watched even the professional brands, like they're all being interviewed in their home studios, as everything has shifted a little bit. Can can you talk about like what it's like to be the creator now, like with that hat and showing up? Is it more difficult to show up because there's no like rules of, hey, we need this video, Andrew, by 2 o'clock on Friday to get uploaded? Is it any different in that creator mentality versus like a corporate mentality to show up on camera now?
There is definitely a difference. Obviously, corporations have their values and things like that that they want to be clearly defined and shown on camera. However, it's up to us as creators to be like, look, I'm going to represent those things, but you're coming to me for my unique voice. Let me take what I know and what you need and make something great. And that also comes with a proven track record. A lot of times, like whenever a brand deal happens, creators just have no idea where to go. And from where you and I started, the industry has so many more resources. There's Justin Moore, who, if you're unaware, he runs a program called Creator Wizard, which teaches creators of any size how to get brand deals. Roberto Blake has a brand deal starter kit, which teaches people like numbers and information you need to know. So there's a lot of information out there now that you can go and find and utilize to help you in those circumstances. Now, compared to when I'm creating for like a company or myself, I always try to remember that it is my voice, which is who they hired. How do I use my voice to elevate their wants?
That's good right there. I need to take some notes, or with the power of video, I could just watch my own replay. I love that. What I've been telling people here recently, and I had this conversation with someone, is video is like your resume, like your online resume. Because if you record it, if you upload it, you store it somewhere, you never know when you might be able to go back and refer to it. I have videos that are still like performing really well, and I'm just like, man, I did that video like so long ago, but now it's like, oh, it shows that credibility too. Like, oh, he did this stuff a long time ago, so he must be still doing the same thing, and that credibility factor is there. I appreciate you guys for showing up. I see Jane, or I'm over here, Steve. Oh, I always want to call you James Worthy. I swear, and I'm not even a Lakers fan. Steve, he said, "Passion is critical for your content." Great point, Andrew. I want to talk about some tech gear because as a content creator, we do actually need to have some quality when we create content. Do you what's your stance on equipment? Because it's a controversial thing. You got to have the 4K camera, you got to have the top of the line microphone, or just get started with your smartphone and just go from there. And I understand all the value points, but I'm just interested to see and or listen to someone that has seen a lot of content creators show up. Some powerhouse content creators. So I know there's got to be something there that you can kind of share with the audience as to what it takes as they're getting started.
I think that when it comes to gear, the first thing I always say is that, like any tool, it is there to assist you, and it is how you use it to better yourself. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times I see new creators say that if I only had the gear, I would make better content. But the reality is that content and gear, the gear is only there to help expand the story. And whether you're using an iPhone 6, which I just have on my desk, or you're using like a Sony ZV-E10, right, which is a newer 4K camera, which is definitely more designed for video creators, right? The main thing I tell people is that it is how you're using those things to tell what you want to tell people. Right now on YouTube Shorts is a great example of just taking your smartphone and going. You just need decent light, have your phone ready, and in under a minute, if you want to test and see how you like video, that's easier than ever. Definitely easier than when you and I started. So I think gear is only there to help your content creation. And as you get better, you will understand how the gear helps you. but do not let it be what stops you from even starting.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because I remember starting with the webcam, the this Logitech C930. That was my go-to
I
webcam. You,
still use it all
oh,
the
you still
time.
got it? Yeah, and that was my go-to webcam. And then I wanted some dynamics to my video, so I had two webcams. And me and Andrew was talking before we went live, and he's like, "I like that behind the scenes." And I was telling him how I bought three webcams. So I literally had three webcams up, like, and I just felt like that was what I needed or what it took to kind of get someone's attention. But the reality is, all I needed was the first one, and I just had to show up using the first one. Had to hit the start button, had to hit the record button with that first one, and then over time, just being a techie, you just start to acquire this stuff, and you're like, okay, I better actually use this stuff too, otherwise, my bank account's not gonna like me. So I see you had your Logitech. What else did you get started with? What do you remember like getting started with?
I remember the flip cameras in 2009 when that was huge on YouTube. So I've been creating on the YouTube platform since 2006. So a
Wow.
year after YouTube started, I was technically not even old enough to be on the platform, but don't tell YouTube that. That's one of my favorite truths is I wasn't actually 13 yet when I started on the YouTube platform. But I learned that I liked video and I always liked films, but I always felt, man, I don't know how I'm going to do this. How, like, they have these teams, they have these crews. But then, I go to film school and I realized that, hey, a lot of these are just people figuring it out and getting better as you go. I love how you talked about your progression even there and yourself is that, you had multiple cameras and that was something you did for you. I
Hmm.
think sometimes what we forget when we're creating content, it's okay to do stuff that is just for you as long as it doesn't, derail from the story you're trying to tell. I've seen some tutorials where they've gone on a 15-minute rant about why they don't like chicken parmesan, and that's great, but I just needed to understand how to install a software. I didn't need the chicken parmesan thing.
Yep. 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 I, I want to know what you guys in the chat, those of you guys watching, if you're creating content, let me know some of the equipment that you guys started out with. Andrew went way back with the flip phone. I was that guy, Andrew, that I didn't use my smartphone to this day. Like I still don't really use my smartphone. Um,
Really?
yeah, like I have never used my smartphone to go live on Facebook Live, YouTube Shorts. Like I just have not used my smartphone. I've always been more comfortable like with a screen or a monitor for some reason. It's just been my thing. And I don't know what it is like because I used to do a lot of like tutorials and I could whiteboard on the screen and stuff like that. But I do have this shout out to Sure. They sent me this video kit and I know we'll talk about some budget stuff, but they sent me this video kit and now I'm sitting here like, ooh, now I can actually take this somewhere and like feel like I'm going to use it a little bit more because the camera qualities on these things are incredible, and just watching some of the content that people create with their smartphones is just incredible. Like maybe because I've been in like video production for a little while and I've always been used to like equipment and always feeling like I need like some equipment. But like you said, man, a lot has changed. There's a lot of gear that's making it easier for people to show up on camera, like the cell phone, like the smartphone. I want to talk about some of the. I see Ahmad says he still has the Logitech C9. Was that the C920, C930 over there? Okay, I see Ahmed. Yeah. Um, I want to talk about some of the like the budget equipment. So let's kind of geek out a little bit. What are you seeing now that's on the market, if it's even available? Some of the equipment that that you think is budget friendly, that can kind of help us get started in live streaming and in video production.
Sure. I think some of the best stuff in when it comes to like budget friendly equipment is just lighting. Like lighting has become so much more affordable. Like I remember when lighting required separate bulbs, separate housings, and
Yeah.
like this light I have behind me is a Godox, it's their they call it their BL series, and so like their series 100, it's in bi and also like daylight, and all that means is like you can have multicolors or just single. And that kind of light back in the day used to cost like 700-800 bucks. The light now is like $200, and yes, that's still a lot of money. Do not get me wrong, but comparatively, the affordability of a light of that quality did not exist that long ago.
Mhm.
And the fact that we are in a place where we can use lights that are better than ever, that are smaller and cheaper than ever, and still good, like that's incredible. Even the mics we're using are a lot more affordable than some they used to be.
Yeah. I remember like I think lights were the last thing I invested in. And you know how when you level up, you're like certain things, you're like, oh, it's not that important. But then I like actually
Oh yeah.
invested into a light, and I was like, oh, this is a big difference. Yeah, yeah. I have this big softbox. I had got this from Aperture, and I was
It
like,
looks so good.
oh, appreciate it. I still got dialing in. I see my camera's trying to autofocus on my microphone the whole time here, so we'll have to dial that in a little bit. But when I got the softbox, I was like, man, this is a totally different look. And like you said, the bulbs you had to change out. I had the I'm reminiscing over here. I had to change out those bulbs, and they would get so hot. Like you'd stand there and do your live stream, and I would, and I'm not even someone that sweats, Andrew. And I would sit there and I'd be drenched after a live stream because of the heat coming from those things. Can I get a witness in the chat for all my live streamers that had
I'm
that?
I'm a witness right now. Like I said, I came from that traditional like world, and there's a reason when they're called hot lights on set, and it's because they are hot. They can generate enough heat to make you be like, "Am I in a sauna? I thought I was live streaming right now."
Yeah. Now we got like I love Elgato products with their key lights and these panel lights. I have a panel light that I use over there, and I don't generate all that heat like I used to. Those of you out watching on Amazon Live, as Andrew's talking about some of these products, then I have them listed in the carousel, so check it out. So I got the Godox in there, and like super affordable. I need to check out some Godox products because I've been eyeing them, and the RGB lights. I need to add some more RGB lights. Since we're talking about lights, like, do you see like lights as I don't want to say important, but I noticed like the emergence of like RGBs, like in all facets, like churches, live streamers, conferences, like everybody's using colors in their live streams. How do you kind of view that phase of how important lights are, or what you can kind of just do with it to make you stand out a little bit more?
I think lighting on YouTube and video in general has always been kind of downplayed compared to audio. And what I mean by that is audio, everyone knows is important, but lighting is equally as important, especially on a video basis. So I think the reason RGB is becoming so important is because like lighting's always been important, but it's RGB is something that stands out. Like I see that blue light you have, I have a blue and a purple light behind me just to help me pop with my green shirt. Like there's intentionality between both of us. Like I see how, the yellow, that blue makes that yellow pop even more behind
Hmm.
you. Also, I think it just complements you very well. And so when it comes to lighting, is that historically, I always look at like filming, right? It used to be lights, camera, action. And that's from
Hmm.
the black and white film days when it
Wow.
was just no color on the screen. So the thing is, lighting is so important because when you invested in lighting, you even admitted, like, wow, it changed a lot. But the thing is, people used to not invest in lights because it's like, all right, here's a super affordable light. It's only $1,000, and you lose so many people right there. And it's true, it is affordable. It is $1,000, and when every other light is $10,000, a
Right.
thousand becomes incredibly affordable. But to most people, it's not super affordable,
Oh, that's
including myself.
yeah, yeah. Gotta have some lights, but don't break the bank with it. I see Side Hustle Shuffle says, "Hey there, great stuff. Thank you for LCD."
No kidding.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we've talked about lights here. Let's talk about microphones. I see you have like the Rode, was it the Rode NT1 that you're using? One of my
Mhm.
first like level ups was the Rode US NT USB. Like,
Ooh,
oh my
good
gosh,
mic.
that mic was. I didn't want to let it go, but I ended up letting it go. Just because I needed to get into like the XLR game a little bit, but
Of course.
that's just because being a techie. But how do you like that Rode NT1, man? Because that's an awesome mic too.
I really like it. I think I've had this light now since about 2014, and it has done me well, right? Like when you have a good mic, and this is something that I find myself getting caught in, is like at a certain point, you'll spend more money and the return is so little.
Hmm.
Now, obviously, we're in a unique position where sometimes companies will send us stuff and we have the opportunity and the privilege to help others make that decision. And I think that that is when it comes to this mic, I remind myself, I keep it. And some people are like, why are you using a mic that's so old? I'm like, one, it may be older, but if the sound you want is the sound you're getting from the piece of equipment, it doesn't matter the age, it just matters what you do with it. That's why I keep this mic, because I love how it sounds, it works for me, and it really hasn't been that big of a deal. I believe this is actually 2016, not 2014, but just, so much gear over the years.
Yeah, who you telling? Quality equipment in general. It's you don't have to keep going and investing and buying new stuff because it just lasts, especially if you just take care of it. I didn't have to sell my Rode into USB. Like I just didn't have a use for it at the time
Yeah.
anymore. And so otherwise I just have it, but it just be collecting dust. But, investing in quality equipment, it pays off. And especially for my podcasters, like I said, we had Steve James Worthy on last week. And we were talking about the audio for podcasts, and there's a significant difference. And not to say you need it, but if somebody listens to your podcast and they could tell bad audio, and
Oh,
so
yes.
they could tell bad audio. And if you're a content creator, we all know we need to level up our audio. Any other audio that you use? I see you've got some headphones on over there too, so kind of
Yeah.
goes along with audio.
So I use studio monitoring headphones, and all a studio monitor does is give you like a flat file, so you can hear pretty well across the board. Sometimes headphones are tuned to hear more bass, sometimes they're tuned to hear more treble. So you basically just want to find a good set of, they're also known as cans, which I always love saying because my last name is Can. So you need to find a good set of cans that you just like listening to, that makes editing easy, that doesn't make, like, you don't want to go, I just got to get these things off. So I think that for me, these headphones are that really good mix there. Also, another thing, we talked about how gear's changed over the years. Cameras nowadays, if you want to know how you sound, like this camera in front of me, this one from Sony, the ZV-10, which is their beginner-friendly line, has a headphone jack. We used to have to spend so much money for that. It is like an exclusive professional feature, and now it's just there. And it's like, that is what you want to see.
Yeah,
More pro features for less.
yeah. Anybody that's just getting into the content creation and getting into the equipment, yeah, a lot has changed. I remember, Andrew, we would literally have to. So growing up in the church, I was in the back, right? And we were on TV at the time. We were on our local cable stations.
Oh, wow.
And we would film on either mini DV
Ooh,
or VHS. Okay, so that's what we filmed. So I'm back in, this is high school I was
this
in.
is tape.
Yeah, yeah. And we would take the after service, in order to get on TV, we had to edit it because there was
Mhm.
no live streaming. Like we didn't have infrastructure to do in real time video graphics or any of that. It's a smaller church. We didn't have all that. So literally, I would go to this guy's house Sunday evenings, and it would take us anywhere between 6 to 8 hours that Sunday evening. Now, Andrew, like my culture, sometimes we have these church services that go long periods of time, and so you're already tired, and then you got to add 6 to 8 hours onto that on a Sunday evening to edit. I literally would have to. I couldn't wait until the tapes were rendered because I had to go home. I had to go to school the next morning, right? And so I remember that, and now where you can go live and do the whole production right then. And so when you walk out, it's done. It's on the platform you want. You got your lower thirds, you got your multiple camera angles, you can sound beforehand, and
Mhm.
it's changed significantly. And compared to what the price points were for that equipment to what it is for this equipment now, it's like night and day. Um, Man, I love reminiscing on all this old school equipment. Y'all keep putting in your old school equipment. What did y'all use back in the day to create content? Or what do you remember seeing to create content? I know we're talking about hardware, but is there any software that allows you to, because I heard you say edit too. Is there any software that you use in your process as a content creator that you just love to use because maybe it just speeds up time or anything?
I mean, I do a lot of tutorial stuff. So for me, when it comes to that, I think that what TechSmith does with Camtasia and Snagit is some of the best in the business. I do a lot of Adobe stuff. I like their Creative Cloud. I know some people feel certain kinds of ways for the Creative Cloud. I know some people love it, some people hate it. I've never had an issue with it, and I've come with from older editors that are not as flexible or multifaceted One thing you'll know if you watch any of my content is I like multifunctional pieces. Like I think that's something that, you talked about your journey to XLR. A lot of times XLR is so multifunctional. You can put it into so many different mixers, so many different kind of things compared to, USB, where if all the USB ports are done and things like that, you can get a little hard. You can find yourself in a hard time there because it's like, what do I unplug? What do I sacrifice for this? But most XLR like inputs have multi-tap, or even if they're single tap, they have their own USB ports. So like I feel XLR for you was a great way to be multifunctional but still use gear. I know we're talking about some of the old school and the new school, but I think the reason we talk about that old school is to give context to the new school. And this is about budget tech gear. And some people might be like, $100 isn't a budget option. It's the context of understanding that we've never had an option at this price point that makes it budget.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I think of some of the software I use. I mean, compared to what it was then, like the video switch, I use the A10 Mini. I use the Extreme just because I do production and stuff. And again, being a techie is like a little overkill, but it allows me to teach better because I can have like 8 camera angles for ease of use. But like the entry level content creator, they can now take a high end camera, because I saw that one of the piece of equipment that you like is the Elgato Cam Link. They can take a
Mm-hmm.
nice camera and get like an image that it is ridiculous in quality, like looking like you're on like live TV. Like I've seen some of the TV interviews that we've seen on national TV, and we're just like, what are they using for this? And then some of us as content creators, we're like, oh man, we can show a way better looking than what they are. So let's talk about the camera that you're using, along with how the cam link works, so everybody can kind of understand that too.
Sure. So I'm using the Panasonic G7. This is also a little bit of an older camera, but it has a clean 4K output. And all that means is with the Elgato Cam Link, which I'm using with it, I plug in a cable I just plug in a USB cable, which most people have with their phones, to the cam link. The cam link then takes that signal through a USB port on my computer, and it lets me have this video quality. It lets me use my high end camera as a DSLR, or not as a DSLR, but as a webcam. I can use a high quality camera just as you would use a webcam. And that used to not be as accessible. Nowadays, people are using or building it into the cameras. But if
Hmm.
you have an older camera, or you have a camera that doesn't have that, that's where the Elgato can make your camera become a high end webcam. And you don't have to buy another camera because you already have the one.
Yeah. Like it's always funny sometimes I'll jump on a Zoom call, and before we even start the conversation, they'll be like, man, your camera looks nice. Like, and so I totally forget the fact, because I'm in this every day. So you forget the fact that, oh, I invested in a camera, and, yeah, it's supposed to look better. But, also doing video production for people too. Like it's a, it's one of those things like, this is the quality that I can produce for you. So it's actually been a good sales vehicle as well, just by improving my own equipment and people seeing the quality associated with it. So anybody that does show up on video, like I've literally seen it help close the deal just because the camera is just a better camera. So that investment is actually returned its value. I see Chris Stone had put in there. I was waiting for Chris to mention that SM58 from Shure, the microphone from back in the day. Michael Fair said we started recording at the beginning of the pandemic. It was so much work. I had to put a stop to that quick. Yeah, yeah. Learning process. I'm big on process too,
Hmm.
and workflow, because you can get overwhelmed. But as a content creator, I think in order to create more content, we got to streamline our process. Do you have any tips on how to be a content creator and actually create the content, Andrew, so we don't get bogged down in all the equipment, but we know we need to use it, but we don't want to, like, we got to wait until Amazon ships it before we get started.
Hmm. I would say when it comes to like process of content creation, what I try to remember is that I can write multiple videos, I can make multiple ideas and piece them out day by day, right? Like I go back to building a house because it's just something everyone kind of understands is like you got to put the walls up before you put on a roof, right? You can't have the roof before the walls. So what I try to do is when I will spend a whole day filming 2 to 3 videos where it's just me talking to camera, no screen recording, no voiceover recording, just me to camera talking to it so that I can get that part done. I can make sure it is handled. And then when it comes time to editing, I've already done all the in-person camera stuff. Then let's say that's my Monday. On Tuesday, I'll do all the voiceover stuff I need to get done. So if I have scripts, I will separate them from on camera to voiceover. So I spend that next day doing all the voiceovers. Then on Wednesday is my edit day. So I will edit the IRL stuff in the first half of the day, and then I'll edit all the voiceover. From there, that Thursday is combining them, and then I'm doing this with 3 different videos. So when I finish the IRL and voiceover for one video, I move on to the next. It's bulk filming and bulk processing, and it just makes it so much easier for me. And
Hmm.
a lot of times, people in fitness, it's kind of a fitness like approach, actually, where some days you're working on your arms, some days your legs, some days your chest. You got to kind of rotate to be the most optimal. Video
Hmm.
editing is a lot like that.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely have to have a process too. I've stumbled in my process a little bit, but I went through my calendar yesterday, matter of fact, and I put on there a specific day just for recording my YouTube videos, so I can just focus and doing the same thing. I'm gonna do 2 YouTube videos right back to back because everything is kind of set up in a way that it needs to be to record. And I know even that gets in the way. Some people that may have a smaller space and they're like, oh, I got to
Mhm.
set up the tripod and a microphone because you don't have a dedicated space. That tip you gave is a good way to not have to set up, breakdown, but actually bulk record when you are ready to create some content. I actually, you guys in the chat, go ahead and put your questions in the chat. What questions do you have from Andrew, especially as it relates to creating content and like optimizing for YouTube, because he has some experience with working with a whole bunch of creators for that. If y'all don't ask questions, I'm gonna ask questions because I want to hit my 100,000 subscriber mark or something, somewhere close to it. I do have a goal in my head, Andrew, of 50,000 this year. I want to get to 50,000 subscribers. So I know that means creating more content.
For
I
sure.
see. Ahmed says, anyone using Wirecast software these days? Matter of fact, I was telling Andrew my whole Wirecast story before we got started, but I'm using Wirecast right now. Been using it since version 7, version 6, version 7, and I've been faithful. I'll just leave it there. Shopping with Cheryl says, I'm not that organized. I just click record and go. So we got to help Cheryl get a little organized, come up with a strategy over there. But Cheryl is doing amazing with Amazon Live. So you guys make sure y'all follow Cheryl over on Amazon. Chris Stone says, in terms of video topic concepts, what resources do you start with when your creative tank is low? Ooh, I went through that, Andrew. Help us out.
So the first thing I will do if it's coming to YouTube content creation is I look at what has resonated in the past. An easy way to do that, and I'm doing this with your channel now, Monty. So one of the things I do is I look at what are my popular uploads, what about that resonated, because a lot of times those are our videos that we could make more content on. That's easy. Like I'm seeing right now, just looking at yours, Monty, right? You talk about best church camera, live streaming for churches. You could do videos on what live streaming from a church to your bedroom, how to do it, how
Mm,
you've learned that. That is a video series right there where you talk about all the stuff you learned in the church and how that can go from a large venue to a small one. You talked about how some people don't have the space. That right there, just talking with you now, that's like 10 videos you could do. Think about that. All this gear we're talking about today, you're like, hey, I talked with Rob. This is what he uses. Here's how you can use this in your live streaming in a home space. And if
mm-hmm.
you want to get to that 100K, it's understanding where people are, what they've liked from you, create more of that content, but add a new spin. Another way you can see is I like looking at Google Trends. They have a tab specifically in Google Trends for YouTube search. That's super useful. Another thing I like to do is look at Google search. You can type in, for example, you talked about your A10. Look at what other people also search for what. Make content on what they're also searching for. There's so many ways you can then think of your own creativity there, your expertise, your knowledge. And that's how I keep running dry. I think of what do I like talking about? What have I talked about? And what are ways I can reintroduce this?
Yeah.
Also, I'm going to get water real quick.
Yeah. No problem. No problem. That's one of the things I've been paying attention to, are some of the other content creators, and I've noticed that some of them that I follow, they'll do like a series of videos on a particular subject, and I'm like, man, I keep coming back to them because I want to see the next part of the series or that next part of what they're talking about. So I really love that, because one of the things I did early on in my YouTube journey specifically is I would like talk about a topic, and then I would kind of talk about another topic. It was in the same industry, same niche, but I would talk about multiple different topics. But another YouTube coach that I had met on Clubhouse, and he has helped people grow hundreds of thousands of subscribers. He basically said the same thing you said: is you find that winning video and you figure out ways to create similar videos and just find those different avenues, because that audience is obviously resonated with that initial video. So you just want to keep creating those similar types of videos. And that's one of the things that I'm really paying attention to for my YouTube creation as well, because I did, like what Chris said, I did go into like a little slump of like, okay, what do I create now? Not really looking at what I had created in the past and what was working already. And so sometimes we as creators, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I was like, man, that's going to be boring to recreate this type of video, when in actuality it's probably very beneficial to that audience. So I appreciate that. That suggestion. Andrew has a lot of experience, you guys, so make sure that you ask the questions about, especially like YouTube, like maybe how to optimize your videos. Do tags matter, Andrew? I'm going to ask you that question. Do tags matter on YouTube? 'Cause that's one of those questions I've heard a lot of different answers to.
So interestingly enough, I was there from when tags, the importance and the kind of the rise and falls of tags. So I've been around that long, which puts me in a weird date, but tags still matter, just not as much as the content. And the problem is people want tags to be the thing to save their video. Tags are only there to support the topic of the video. So if you make a video that people aren't searching for, there's no interest, but you tag it perfectly, well, yeah, tagged it perfectly, but no one was interested in what you talked about, so it doesn't matter. Tags are only as strong as what the video is about. So if you have a topic, and I use this example, this is something I saw at an event where someone's like, I did research and this showed me it'd be good. They made a video about how to change a light bulb in a convention center on a Tuesday at like 3 p.m. is like what they titled this video. And yeah, they were ranking #1 for it, as all like TubeBuddy and vidIQ showed them. But the
Right.
problem is you're gonna rank #1 for it, but who in the world is searching for this? The answer is not many people. So tags can only support the content. So if the content isn't searchable, or if the content isn't something people are looking for, tags aren't going to save the video.
That is funny that you said that, because I remember seeing a couple people like claiming, "Hey, I got my video ranked #1," but I'm thinking to myself, like, nobody's really looking for that. And then I'd go back a week later, and like your video's not even there. It's like nowhere close to the #1 ranking anymore. You said about search, and I think for, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to tell people the wrong information. Like as a new content creator, specifically for YouTube, I don't even know how I got to YouTube. I'm gonna ask my own questions here. I think that creating content for search is better for new creators versus like some of the larger channels like a Mr. Beast, and like he's popular, I know, so I'm just kind of using him for context. But like he can create a video and name it whatever he wants to, almost. But like as a new creator, do you find that creating searchable content is more beneficial, or do you see like if the video is like maybe just has the catchy thumbnail or something, that alone will win because it's maybe optimized somewhere in the description or something? How do you kind of view that for newer creators on YouTube?
I would say that search, when it comes to YouTube, is the safest content to create. Doesn't mean it's going to get you the most clicks, doesn't going to mean it's going to make you go viral, but it is a safe bet that people are interested in it. When you look at a content creator like a Mr. Beast or someone like an MKBHD, a lot of times they are deceptively searchable. And what I mean
Mm,
by that is people weren't searching for the things they were making until they made them. Then people started searching for them. We've seen this with PewDiePie when he rebrought Minecraft. Minecraft always had good search, but when there was the resurgence, he was at the forefront of it, right? So search is always going to be important. On YouTube, there's something called the three H's, and those are hero, hub, and help content. Help content is that search friendly stuff. If I've never heard of you, Monty, but I need to know how to do this thing, I could find you in search, and that brings me to you. Your hub content is like, all right, I've already found who Monty is. I want to watch his content more. Well, that's your everyday, your live stream, everyday scheduled programming that maybe not is the most searchable, but is there. And then there's those hero pieces, which are those pieces that are like both searchable, helpful, and entertaining,
Mm.
and they grab the interest with a good thumbnail, a good title past your core audience. Those are a lot harder to do well. Mr. Beast is a great example of someone who only does hero content, but when he does that content, it lands.
Hmm.
But we're also, Mr. Beast, in terms of understanding the YouTube game, is probably the Michael Jordan when it comes to it, like understanding it to a high capacity. I'm a basketball player, like fan, so if I use too many of those, please forgive me, but
Oh no,
hopefully it still
you're good.
still resonates. Sometimes I say that and I have people like, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I use a little football analogies in my coaching, and so sometimes I'm looking, I'm like, okay, do y'all know what holding means and pass interference on the defense? Like, maybe I better not use this analogy tonight. I saw Short put in the comments as well about hashtags in the description section. Those three hashtags that you get there. I have used those. How do you think those are beneficial or not beneficial?
they are actually beneficial. My stance on hashtags has changed as YouTube has developed them. At first, no one was using them, so it was just kind of this thing that was there, so it was hard. With the introduction of Shorts, however, that is kind of how they're using it, right? Hashtag Shorts is something we had to put in. They really started implementing more there. Even on channels I've helped, if you can find a trending hashtag, which YouTube will show you, or if you can find something on another platform that's kind of picking up steam that makes sense, you definitely should keep them relevant to the content and consider that a way to branch out. One of the examples I can give is one of the organizations I was helping with was doing a fundraiser for Black History Month, and they were raising money to help, people who needed money for just college and things like that. And it was a panel of amazing just experts on education and reform and things like that. And they actually hashtag Black History Month. And what YouTube picked up was a lot of people were interested, a lot of people were watching, and through the hashtag started promoting it out larger. And this was a
Mm.
live stream. They went from like 20 viewers to 90 to 180 just through the hashtag. And
Wow.
in the analytics, we saw it was through that hashtag. So it was quite incredible to see in real time how YouTube is trying to use that to help broaden the reach. The problem I see that people have with hashtags is that they'll put way too specific, or they're just not going off at that moment. You should still have them, because at any moment if that hashtag picks up and it's in your videos, your video can ride that wave. But when I'm doing a live stream, I'm being a lot more intentional these days on ways to hashtag with relevant events. If I'm a filmmaking channel and I want to talk about Oscar contending movies in a live stream, I might do hashtag Oscars. If I am a channel that talks about modern music, I might hashtag Grammy songs and make a live stream about the songs that are, nominated there. And that's using that relevant hashtag so that when people are looking for it on YouTube, they're going to recommend that live stream.
Hmm. Yeah, that's good information right there. I was saying to myself, I don't know how I got on YouTube. Yeah, I do, because I told you, Andrew, you're my YouTube guy. You're my famous YouTube guy, where he knows all the answers because I've seen him on video. Man, it's just amazing how video works. Like I was telling someone through. As a matter of fact, it was Steve James Worthy last week. Y'all got to go check out last week's episode. Don't miss any episodes. Go check out his episode after you get done watching this. And we were talking about, like, when I watch a pod or listen to a podcast, it's almost like that person is like instantly credible. It like, I don't know what it is, and I'll scroll through and I'm like, boom, and I'll listen to it, and I don't find myself like, oh, let me go find another podcast about the same subject. Like, I'm not like actively searching or something. And it's kind of like with YouTube as well. It's like if I go to YouTube, and I find a video that's like, oh, that speaks to me. That person gave me what I was looking for. They delivered, whether that's entertainment, information, tutorial, like they delivered on what the expectation was. It's like they're instantly credible. And if they're really good, like maybe the production value is there, or maybe the cadence is there, like I'll hit the subscribe button. And so I'm thinking, like, what makes me hit the subscribe button? Like, I just met this person 3 minutes ago through their video, or 12 minutes ago through their video, but they're instantly credible. Where when they put up another video, I feel inclined to watch it. And I think because video does that, so effectively, you can visually see the person. Like, it's not like Andrew did a whole bunch of tutorials and like I never know who Andrew is when I go meet him at an upcoming conference. Like, I've seen you so many times on camera that, like, I know who this guy is. He's credible in what he says, because you actually have to be credible in the information that you do provide on the platform. And if you help somebody out, it's like, boom, he must know what he's talking about. She must know what they're talking about. And I just promote video so much, man. Let me see what Cheryl has to say over here. She said, I wonder if brands watch YouTube for hashtags looking for brand partners and influencers. Ooh. So, Andrew, you've been on the other side of the table.
I have. A lot of times brands don't necessarily look for hashtags when it comes to YouTube. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll search their own product. Do you show up? If you show up, what are you saying and how are you responding there? Another thing I would say, when brands look for YouTube, they also Google. Google will show YouTube videos in the video carousel. And sometimes the way I've pitched brands when I've worked with brands is, hey, I'm actually ranking above you in your own Google carousel here. Let's work together so that, one, I can help you rank above me, which sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't if they don't take the advice I give. But it's a point where you're like, hey, I want to work with you. I believe in what you're doing. I've always believed in what you're doing. Here's so many videos I've done on your product. And you make it easy. Another thing when you want to work with brands is, don't be afraid to reach out to them, but come with a plan. The worst thing, and I've seen this happen too many times, is, hey, I want to work with you, Monty. Monty's like, awesome. What do you want to do? I'm like, huh, I didn't think I'd get this far. I didn't think you'd say yes. What do you want to do? And it's Monty's like, well, Andrew, you reached out to me. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
But Monty, that's a great example. You came to me with a very clear how the show is going to work. Monty runs a tight ship, if you need to know. It is amazing here. So I got to give you props, because a lot of times, like, when people go to reach out, they just have no plan. So if you want to work with brands, they are looking through hashtags. They are looking through search. They're looking more so just in search in general for their product, more so than hashtags, but that could change.
Mm-hmm.
And have a plan. And also, don't be afraid to reach out. Tag them on Twitter. A lot of times people don't do it because they don't want to bother the brand. If your content is good, it's not a bother to the brand. It is actually helpful for them and yourself.
Okay, that's good. You confirm something that I need to go back and go back and do again. So one of the videos that I did in 2020, I was talking about live stream and how to live stream, and I was talking about software that I personally used. I had already bought it, I've been a customer of it for years, and my video was outranking theirs, and the view count was outranking theirs. And matter of fact, that's how I met Rob. That's how I saw this guy named Rob, because my video was on top of Rob's video and on top of the brand's video. And so when me and Rob connected, I was like, oh, you're that guy that I'm outranking. And so now I think his video got pushed above mine. But I was like, man, when you said that, I was like, maybe that's why the brand reached out to me. They literally saw that my video was actually more powerful in YouTube than their video was. And I actually did a brand partnership with them. I think I ended up creating like 2 or 3 dedicated videos, and then they sponsored like 5 of my videos, and creating content around that man, I don't even want to go down there because I feel like teaching. There's a lot of companies that I've seen here recently, Andrew. Like, I've been creating videos, and I literally am working with one company, and I was like, man, there's only one video on their product. I love the product. I actually reached out to the brand and say, hey, I would love to talk about your product, specifically on Amazon Live, because they had never heard of it. They're like, what is it? So they were like excited. But then when I went to YouTube, there was only one person that had a video on it outside of like the corporate video. There was only one content creator that had a video on it. And I was like, I'm going to create some amazing content for them there as well, because it's a powerful platform to continue that relationship with that company. Man, Andrew's dropping fires tonight. If y'all have any last questions, definitely go ahead and put those in the chat. Andrew, I appreciate you for being here and dropping this knowledge, because like I said, I've been a fan from a distance, and now I can't wait to the next event. You got any events coming up that you're going to be in person, or you think you might try to get to this year?
I would like to go back to Vid Summit, which is an event here in LA. I'm based in LA, so I'd like to go to that. Right now, it's just, it's weird times, global global crisis and all that. So you try to do what you can. Those are the ones I'd like to go to. I'd also like to go to VidCon. I think that if you're a creator, the creator level is fun. A lot of people see VidCon as a fan event, but a lot of big creators will go to VidCon and just walk the halls because they can kind of be not as known. And you'll see people you've watched for years just sitting down and like they want you to come up. They don't care. They're there to like meet people. And so like you can see a Roberto Blake and Nick Nimmin. You can see Rob Balasabas. He will definitely be in a lot of those events as well, usually. And that is the cool thing is you can just see so many creators you've watched just wanting to meet people like them that create.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a little fraternity. It's like you have people that do the same thing because we understand what it takes. You
Mhm.
know, the effort that goes behind it, the sacrifices that go into it, and sometimes the only people that can relate to it are other people that are in that space. So, definitely looking forward to meeting people because I'll be attending Podfest, VidFest
Ooh,
in Orlando in May. So if you guys are interested, make sure that you guys go check that out. So I actually get to speak there, so that's going to be pretty cool too. So I get to meet other creators and get to speak on the stage to creators, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. I started a YouTube channel in January 2020, and now I get to do this. I've been
is that
creating
where you
content.
thought you'd be?
I not no no not when I created YouTube content because I had been live streaming since 2016. So from 2016 to 2020, and then compared to 2020 and now, the opportunities that I've gotten I have been significantly larger, significantly brand deals, sponsorships, speaking opportunities, virtual speaking opportunities, getting flown out of state to produce live stream conference. Like between
That is so cool.
2016 and 2020, I didn't have all those opportunities. So
But you were grinding. You were
yeah,
building yourself up to when 2020 happened, you were prepared, you were ready. And that goes back to what we were talking earlier, is that you've set yourself up. You know what? You are your own LeBron James in that, where you were working in that 15 years of hard work. It was your
yeah,
4 years. And
yeah,
now look at you. I
yeah.
can't wait to hear what you talk about at VidFest.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it either because I have never
I
spoken
gotta
on a
do
stage
that.
that large.
That is so relatable. Everyone's like, I can't wait to see your presentation. And I've been like, I can't wait to write it.
Someone
I've
that
been
can
there.
relate. Someone that can relate. Oh man, this has been fun. This has been fun. Andrew, one of the things I always ask people when we wrap up are like their words of advice, words of wisdom, especially as it comes to video and live stream. And maybe it's something you foresee coming down that you want to share with people. Maybe it's encouraging words to help people get over hurdles, anything like that. What could you leave us with along those lines? Because you said you already watched my videos, so you already see that I'm passionate about this video thing and people like getting started. Well, what kind of advice, suggestions, or anything that you can leave us with as we wrap up this evening?
I would leave anyone with this. A lot of times people don't start because they're afraid of judgment. And one of my favorite quotes that has put judgment into perspective, we go back to my one of my favorite words, is from Dita Von Teese, and it is, you can be the sweetest peach in the tree, and there's always going to be someone that hates peaches. And what that means for you is that instead of focusing on the people who don't like peaches, you should be creating that content for the people that do, because those are the people who are going to keep showing up and supporting you. And when Monty at the beginning of the show was saying hi to people that we recognize in the chat, hi to people that he has had the pleasure of having on the show, those are the people you're creating content for. There are always going to be someone who will not like what you do, but don't give them as much energy as the people who do. Monty wants to make more content, wants to hit that goal. I want him to hit it. So focus on those original pieces. If you are making pieces, find those things that make you so happy to hit record that you can't stop talking about it. That's my advice to you out there. And I hope you take it. Because if
Yeah.
I can, and if Monty can, you can too.
And this guy, this guy, he's amazing. This guy, I hope y'all got it. I got it. I hope y'all got to. And that's a powerful, because I'm taking that advice too, man. Because sometimes you'll look in the comment section and you'll find that one person that doesn't like the peach. And then sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
got to look over like, oh, there was like 50 other people that did like the peach. So, not
Mm-hmm.
getting your attention stuck in the wrong place. So I appreciate that, Andrew. If you guys want to connect with Andrew, I have all his links on the YouTube description. So make sure that you guys reach out to Andrew. Awesome guy, content creator. He's on YouTube, so go check out his videos on YouTube. I checked out the video about his overhead rig because I need to do like an overhead over here, and I was trying to figure out why my one thing kept like pulling down my camera, and I was like, oh yeah, Monty, because the weight of it is just not made for this, because I just too lazy to look at the weight requirements of that specific thing. So go check out Andrew. He's a techie too. He has some amazing videos on his channel. I appreciate all of you guys for hopping in and watching tonight. Michael, Cheryl, Ahmed, Steve, James Worthy, my guy over there. I can't, he just joined me in my community, so it's just gonna be a running joke. So that's gonna be my basketball pun. Because he's in my group now all the time, so I'm gonna have to just go old school Lakers and everything. You guys are amazing. Next week we'll be back again, talking more about video, talking more about live streaming and tech. So with that, make sure that you guys hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already on YouTube, and hit the follow button if you haven't already hit that on Amazon. And I'll see you guys next week. You guys have an awesome rest of your day, your evening, your morning, and until next time, create some content.